Hey, so I'm just gonna color and talk. I colored this Lumpy Space Princess mask for my boss several months ago because we kind of had found that this particular type of mask was like the most comfortable for her, but they were kind of boring. So I colored them, but with a lot of wearing, it's faded off. So I'm gonna work on it a little more. Unfortunately, I didn't have the sense to start with coloring the stars, so these Lumpy Space Princesses are gonna be a little bit messy. I hope she can forgive me. I'm feeling a lot better than my last two videos in which I was very upset about Orange Day Bad and TERFs. Things are so bad in the US right now that it feels very, I feel a little bad when I don't feel bad, you know? Like, it feels a little bit hypocritical, I guess, that I got so upset when, like, the sun didn't come up, and I'm not, equally upset about everything else. But at the same time, like, I don't know, things are so bad that I could feel bad every day. I'm just glad that I don't, even if it's not logical, you know? Yeah. So I've been really happy that ever since the orange day, we haven't had another orange day. Pretty cool. And yeah, I think the air quality is about to kind of starting to get bad again because of the glass fire, but it hasn't gotten as bad as that. Thanks to commenter Neurodivergent Netizen for letting me know that there actually were some masks available on the Vogue mask site, because there usually aren't, and I kind of gave up looking. So there was one size, one color available, and I could sort of tell it was going to be too small for me, but I got it anyway, and it kind of fits. It just kind of fits in the middle of my face, which is okay, I guess. I mean, my cheeks don't really need to be protected from the smoke, just my nose and mouth. So I haven't worn it yet, but I'll probably end up wearing it tomorrow because I know things are getting worse, and that'll be my first time trying it. Yeah, I was also feeling quite upset last week because of I guess it was probably kind of obvious when I made a video about TERFs, but I was having some frustrations because, like, a hobby related, like, website that I used to really enjoy reading and just kind of provided entertainment for me when I was bored and lonely, which, you know, for all of us is a lot of the time now because, you know, we don't necessarily have that many people to talk to or be exposed to easily. Like, I'm quite a shy person, but I also really appreciate being around people. Like, I really like to just go places like cafes or whatever and just like listen to people talk, even though I'm not very social. Hearing people is nice. And I think for me, kind of like, you know, reading the website, like reading comments and forums and stuff, kind of provided me with some company. And I got really upset by the way that transphobia was creeping in. And because it's not an explicitly political site, um, it was frustrating because it was turning into this thing where people would make very subtly transphobic comments, and it felt like other people didn't see what was being said, and then, like, if you responded to it, people would be like, oh, you shouldn't be making political comments, and it just really upset me. I actually ended up feeling a lot better just from, like, talking to friends about it online, and also talking to people in, like, a more explicitly pro-trans group online. Like, I think I had kind of gotten myself sort of tied in knots trying to figure out, like, how I could possibly, like, argue with these people or, like, call them out in a way where, like, I would be obviously right and they would be obviously wrong. And I don't know, I think, like, being in a space where, like, people just felt comfortable saying, like, normal things, um, made me realize that, like, my brain had already gotten, like, a little bit twisted by those posters. And, you know, so I think I'm gonna have to kind of face the thing and just be like, okay, either I need to stop using this website that, like, was entertaining to me for years, or I do just need to, like, never ever ever engage with these comments when I see them. So we'll see which thing I can do. Like, I think part of me feels like, you know, I should be able to engage with people. I should be able to, obviously I can't convince those people to change their views, but, like, hopefully at least I can, like, make other people see what's going on and be more aware of this. You know, when I had friends who became TERFs, like, I wasn't necessarily, you know, like, oh, you're becoming a TERF right away, but as things happened, now I do recognize that type of mindset even when it's not like full on guns blazing 100% obvious. I feel like when people start to get to the point where they start implying that, like, you know, accepting trans people is like, I don't know, posing some sort of problem to them or like oppressing them in some way, but they're trying to like spin it around as being feminist. I just already am attuned to that. Like, I don't need to wait for it to get bad, you know, before I know that it's there. But whatever. I think I've kind of successfully cleansed myself of engaging with those people. That's my hope anyway. I was quite frustrated this morning because I thought that I wasn't going to be paid for my job for several months. But I found out that I may get paid only 1 month late, and I may have to go only 1 month without pay, which, after thinking it would be several months, is quite a relief. I'll just explain that if you're not familiar with it. So, I'm a support worker, a personal assistant, or whatever. So I'm an aide for somebody who's physically and mentally disabled, and I just help her with activities of daily living. So I help her get dressed and eat, and like I assist her with walking and transfers and all that stuff. And yeah, so that's paid for by the state, and there's sort of two categories that my job. Fuck, sorry. Oh no, it's far under the bed. Okay, I got it. I hope I didn't have any kind of wardrobe malfunction there. Sorry if you saw more than you wanted to see when you started this video. Yeah, so basically my job is in two categories. One is like respite worker, it's categorized as that. So that means the family member or like the primary caregiver isn't caring for the person, they're getting a break. And so the person who comes in to care for them is called the respite worker. And then my other thing is like called like personal assistant individualized day program. So that means basically a lot of people with developmental disabilities will go to a day program, but if the program isn't appropriate for you, or if you just don't want to be in a day program, which like, it's weird for me to say this because I think like a lot of the day program staff that I know are really great. Like, they would be great people to like have as your staff, but I don't think it would be that fun to be in a day program if I was someone who went to a day program, because like, you know, you have to get up at like the right time and be like ready to go at the right time. And like, you always have to like travel around with the same people who like have the same staff as you. It'll usually be a group of, I guess, like 3 or 4 people. I don't know, I don't work there. But you know, you all have to be ready to go at the same time, and like, you all have to go and do the same activities. You kind of have to follow everybody else's schedule, and so it's just a little bit less like being able to go out and do what you want to do during the day. So if you don't want to do it, or in my boss's case, there's no programs that are willing to deal with somebody who needs one-on-one support, which is really, it's the kind of thing, I'm going to get into this more if I have time, but it can be really frustrating. A lot of social workers and other workers, or just like families or people that we know in the disability world, are always saying like, oh, why don't you get her into a day program? And like, none of them are educated about the fact that there are no day programs that support people who need one-on-one support. And that's really annoying. Like, I don't think she would necessarily want to be in it, because sometimes she doesn't, you know, sometimes she gets up late or wants to do things on a different schedule or something. I don't think being in a group with like other people and having to follow the same schedule would like work for her, but it should still be available if that's what somebody wants to do, and it's not available for her. And like, I don't know, sometimes it can be annoying because like, it feels like people, like their family member or whatever is in a day program and like they like it, so they're like very evangelical. They're like, oh, why isn't she in a day program? Like, why don't you do blah blah blah? And it's like, bro, like, we can't, and you like don't even know that the day program that you think is so great like is not inclusive of everybody. Whatever. So yeah, so basically my job is sort of categorized as being the equivalent of that. So basically, for the same amount of hours that you would go to a day program, you just get an aide to either help you at home or just like help you go out and do whatever you want to do. So it's basically like your own individual self-guided program, which is nice. Anyways, so I wasn't really aware of this until it went wrong, and it's gone wrong 3 years in a row. At the end of the summer, social workers and other people have to put through this thing called purchase of service, which means that, I don't know, that like they agree that they're going to pay for these services to happen. And obviously, all these services are like billed after they happen. So, for example, like at the end of the month, I fill something out saying what days I worked as like the day program, and then like a few weeks later, I'll get paid for the hours that I put in. And yeah, so 3 years in a row, there's been some kind of issue where for the past 3 years, the respite services weren't they weren't renewed. So for the last 2 years, last year, I and the other respite worker weren't paid for months because they weren't renewed, and it took like, by the time we were all like, hey, can you please renew this, and like they were like, oh, sorry. Except I mean, I honestly feel like I barely got an apology from the people who are responsible for this. And then like, you know, it had to go around and around for months before like we actually saw any money for like the respite hours that we had worked in the last few months. And then yesterday I woke up, I went to fill out my hours for the month of September, and there was no invoice on the billing website to fill out. And I instantly knew, wow, it expired. Nobody put it through, and I'm probably gonna have to wait months, and I'm gonna have no income for months. I'm gonna have to like use up all my savings, and I'm gonna have to like borrow money from other people because I won't get the pay for months. Like, at least I'll get the back pay, but it's really like, I think most people don't just like sit around and like sit on like savings that they could like live on for months and months if they weren't being paid. Like, at a certain point, it's like, okay, so say that I didn't get paid and I had to like talk to my landlord and like say that I couldn't pay rent, like assuming he agreed, like that would affect my ability to get like apartments and stuff in the future. Like, if I couldn't pay for things that I needed to pay for, like I have to be responsible for that. So I don't know, it really upset me. I was feeling quite class war-y, I felt, which is kind of funny because it's not like social workers are really like the upper class or whatever, but it is really hard when like someone has so much control over your life and they just drop the ball. It did upset me. I was feeling a little bit resentful of the fact that so many people in so many jobs were working from home, and I'm continuing to go to work every day and do my normal job, and yet I don't, it's apparently being taken care of. Everybody was really nice, and I appreciate that, but at the same time, it's really frustrating because it's just like, the truth is, like, social workers or whoever could not put this through. Like, somebody could not get paid for months. They could be like really affected by that, or worse for the client that the social worker is supposed to be helping. You know, the staff could end up like quitting their job because they can't afford to work for free. And you know, it's annoying because it feels like people in the disability world are always going like, oh, it's so hard to get staff, or like staff are always like leaving all the time, blah blah blah. And it's like, well, I don't know what you want people to do, but like, you don't pay staff very much and you put us in situations like this all the time. So like, do you value us? Like, do you want us to stay in our jobs or not? Either way, it's harmful to the client to put them in situations where their staff are possibly going to have to leave because they're being asked to work for free. I don't know, it really bothered me and made me angry. I have, I guess for about a year, I've been thinking of becoming a social worker for basically the same reason I initially became a support worker. Like, when I was in college, I used to, you know, I liked being with other people with a disability because I never really was while I was growing up. So I liked to volunteer at like the group homes in my town, or to like volunteer at the special education school. And a lot of the time, I would go in and be like, these people are cool, this seems like a fun place to work, I like the disabled people. And then like, I don't by any means, like, I don't mean that like all the staff were bad or anything, but like sometimes you would look around and like the staff like wouldn't be paying attention to their students or clients, or they would just be like treating them in a really shitty way, like ignoring them or just like being really rude and insulting to them. And it's the kind of thing where, like, you know, you meet somebody who's really nice and like really is like a great person if you just pay attention to them and talk to them, and their staff like can't be bothered to do that. And like that's why I became a support worker, because like I was just like, well, like I obviously can do better than this, and that's a worthwhile thing to do, so I'll just do that. But in the past year, I guess it must have, I don't know if it was initiated by this happening or just kind of thinking that I might want to pursue other things in my life. But I started to think that I'm really saying a lot. I guess it might be a little bit because I'm drawing. I apologize if this is like significantly more ummy and likey than my other videos, but I realize they're all very, very much that way, so it may not be any worse. So these aren't so good. I still didn't do the black part, so they don't have mouths yet, really, or eyes. I hope I can remember where the eyes go. So yeah, I kind of was like, well, I would like to be a social worker because I can see that social workers do a lot of important stuff, and there's some stuff that when they don't do it, it's really bad. So maybe this is naive, but I actually think that all my thoughts about being a support worker when I was 19 or whatever were basically right. Like, there's a lot of really hard stuff about being a support worker, although I would say it's mostly the things I was just talking about, like lack of money and just sort of being treated in these kind of shitty ways and just kind of being treated as if you're not valuable. But yeah, so there are difficult things about it, but at a certain point, you know, you have to realize that you can make like a big difference in someone's life. Sometimes a person is physically depending on you, and like, so no matter how hard you think things are, you just need to basically just buckle up and just be there for the person. And yeah, I think if you are strong-willed and you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna do that, like, I don't know, you'll probably be okay and do some good. Anyways, I guess, yeah, so I don't know, maybe I'm being naive. I guess I'll find out when I find out. I really, I don't know when I'll be able to pursue being a social worker. I think that, it's just sort of, it's weird to talk and think about because it really just has to do with like how things go in my boss's life and her family's life in the next few years. I think it's just the knowledge that when her parents are less able to be primary caregivers and they'll hire more staff, because I don't want to stop working for her or stop being part of her life. But, you know, there probably will be a point in the future where I could like work nights with her or something like that, and that's when I would like to go to social work school and pursue being a social worker. But I don't really, you know, I don't really know when that's going to happen, and it's also not really something I like to think about because, you know, I know her parents want to be her primary caregivers for a long time, and I know that's what she wants to, but I guess it's just kind of something where it's like, I don't really want to get to the point where I can pursue that, but at the same time, I know that it'll be cool to be able to pursue that. I feel a little worried about applying to grad school and stuff because it's been so long since I've been in school. Like, I don't know, I feel a little bit stressed. Like, I don't have any professors from college. I graduated from college like 9 years ago. I don't have anybody that I can get in contact with, or at least like, it's going to be a complete awkward cold call where I have to contact a professor that I haven't spoken with in like a really, really long time for a reference. Yeah. So I'm nervous about that, but it's kind of something that I don't really know when it's actually going to happen. But having this happen again made me feel even more like, wow, like when I'm a social worker, I'm not going to do this. And again, maybe I'm being naive, but what's wrong with being naive? Like, I just try to do my best, and I hope this doesn't sound wrong. I think there's a lot of areas of life where saying that you should have high standards for yourself is not fair, you know? Like, for example, if somebody's like chronically ill and disabled and like maybe can't work or go to school very much, it's not really fair to say like, oh, if you just had high standards for yourself, you could do it. But there is a degree to which I sometimes feel like sometimes people treat other people badly or aren't responsible because, like, they do prioritize those things lower than other people do. Like, you know, like there's a type of person who, when they're kind of like mean to another person or something, they'll be like, well, I was upset. And that's not really like a reason, that's just like a mindset about your behavior where you think that, like, if you're upset enough, it's okay to do certain things, you know? I'm actually surprised I haven't run out of time on this video. I think I covered all the things I was thinking of talking about, but my mask is not really done, but it is a little bit improved from how it used to be when I was very faded. So I hope you enjoyed going on this mask journey with me. Yeah, whatever. I will possibly update about my Vlog mask and oh yeah, my tattoo. That's something I was really stressed about. You can't cancel a tattoo a few days before. It's just like really shitty to the artist, and I think it would affect my ability to reschedule because it would be such a shitty thing to do. But I was kind of like, fuck, if I'm not gonna get paid for months, like, I have to pay for this expensive thing that I would like never have scheduled if I had known. Like, it's so annoying to get put in this situation. But yeah, okay. Thank you for listening.